Within the 2-mile, 3-kilometre radius encircling the dead king, all the peoples of England were represented, from queen to commoner. Royal councillors, pages in training, silkwomen, paupers, foreign-born merchants, sailors, priests. But one person, as custom dictated, was absent from this vast funeral procession. The new king who had inherited his father's realm. His reign had begun at the moment of the late king's death, and every single person bowing their heads before the funeral car was now his subject. His lands stretched far beyond London, beyond the shores even of England and Wales. Like his ancestors, he claimed lordship over the duchies of Normandy and Gascony. For the first time in history, he was not merely rightful king of England, but king of France as well. He was now King Henry VI, and he was not yet 1 year old. 50 years later, in May 1471, the City of London was again the scene of a royal funeral procession. But this one was not carried out with the elaborate ritual of a reigning monarch. Soldiers surrounded the bier, bearing halberds instead of torches, as it made its journey from the Tower of London through the cramped and sombre streets to St. Paul's Cathedral. There had been no time to make a funeral effigy. Indeed, the corpse was barely cold, death having taken place a matter of hours before, around midnight, within the tower walls. Though the body was embalmed with wax and oil and wrapped in fine linens, the dead man's long face was left exposed, its small puckered lips and wide-set gaze familiar to the citizens of London. Curious eyes peered through the defensive ring of soldiers to catch a glimpse of the man as he passed. When it finally reached the cathedral, the body was set up on the pavement near the altar. Now bystanders were able to stare with impunity at the corpse of the king. Ominously, as it lay in the holy sanctuary of the cathedral, the body was seen to bleed afresh. For 2 days the corpse was displayed in this manner, time enough to demonstrate definitively that this man's life was over, that the reign of Henry VI had come to an end. Half a century separates these funeral processions, 50 years that saw English fortunes slide inexorably from the peak of victory to the depths of ignominious defeat. Henry's French realm was lost, with neither battle nor peace treaty able to save it. The vast patrimony that had belonged to his father was, by 1471, a thin strip around the Pale of Calais. Even worse than this, England itself descended into civil war. The reign of Henry VI is rightly remembered as a nadir in national history, and the king's shadow fell across his realms for years after he was deposed. This was the age of England's defeat in the 100 Years' War and the Wars of the Roses. Conflict was to be Henry's principal legacy. Yet Henry himself, the child king who became a martyred holy man, was no tyrant. He loved peace before war. He treated his wife and child with affectionate respect. He rewarded his friends, remembered past kindnesses, and strove to avoid bloodshed and cruelty at all costs. How did a man with such good intentions cause such an outpouring of blood and horror? The answer lies in Henry himself. In an age of personal monarchy, the character of the ruler was of vital importance, and Henry proved to be his reign's fatal flaw. For a medieval king, good intentions in themselves were of no use whatsoever. What mattered was the ability to turn intention into action. What mattered was royal will, and in that respect, Henry showed himself to be singularly lacking. Henry has long been the shadow on the wall described by his contemporary Georges Castellane, looming darkly over our image of the 15th century. Like a shadow, he has been the intangible in history and literature, seeming to disappear in the bright glow of the large characters who surrounded him. The indefatigable Margaret of Anjou, his bellicose uncle, the good Duke of Gloucester, the proud and ambitious